Hi everyone. I'm really interested in this work from home debate that's just raging on. A lot of people have been forced to work from home during the COVID-19 lockdown, and naturally the question is being asked why they need to return to work in full. So if a job can be done reasonably well at home, why do they need to commute to an office 9 to 5, 5 days a week? A lot of businesses at the same time are thinking, well, maybe it is okay. Maybe we are being a bit unnecessary in requiring people to be here. Maybe it isn't so bad managing culture remotely. And I'm not suggesting we all move to virtual teams. And I understand the very genuine concern that could lead to jobs being outsourced, the skilled jobs being outsourced to global markets. So if you've got other countries that can provide the same service remotely as can be provided by domestic employees, but they'll accept a lower pay rate and potentially worse conditions than your domestic employees will accept. If you can have it done by someone working from their home in the UK where I live, or you can have it done by someone who lives in another country and they'll do it cheaper, and it's about the same quality of service that you're getting in return, you're probably, with your business hat on, with your accountancy hat on or whatever, going to outsource it. And that's the problem we faced with the manufacturing industry historically. A lot of jobs going out to sort of China and Vietnam, sort of stereotypically, to those countries, and leaving communities completely lost for employment and any sort of infrastructure or any sort of society where you've got a whole town that would rely on a single factory for employment for 80% of their population, and suddenly that's just closed down. They sent it out to another country. So I understand that concern, and I understand various other concerns about managing culture remotely and things like that. I propose that some compromise between the two, and having the flexibility to choose and trialing it as we return to work, maybe saying, maybe giving the employees some degree of autonomy over, do you want to come to work and work in an office, or do you want to do it 2 or 3 days a week and maybe stay at home 2 or 3 days, and we can mix and match people and try and minimize the degree of contact we're having until we find a vaccine. This is a very real risk that we'll relax the rules too quickly. Even if we have social distancing in place, it's still an unnecessary risk if we don't need to take it. If we can just have everyone work from home, that mitigates the risk completely. So my point is, when you look at other factors as well, we are seeing here in the UK, for one thing, we're constantly surrendering green space to more housing because we have more people, and those people need jobs, and those jobs are in quite limited employment hubs. And you see this all the time where, throughout my lifetime, for example, I'd get up to go to school, I'd go to university, I'd go to work, whatever it was, wherever I'm living, whatever I'm doing, it's the same cycle. You wake up, you see people getting up, they're taking the kids to school, they're getting in cars and they're driving off to where they work. And a lot of cases their commute time, whereas an average commute time used to be half an hour, average commute time is now getting up to 1.5 hours in certain parts of the UK. And it's got to be because we're all competing for scarce resources. We're competing for commercial real estate in these employment hubs, we're competing for parking, and we're competing for road space and infrastructure that gets us to work. So we all use the same roads, we all try to get into the same place at the same time, we all need to be there for 9 a.m. Some companies some companies are trialing cool working hours, which allow you to maybe start at 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 9 o'clock. So that allows you some flexibility over whether you have to commute with the mass rush of traffic, and you can sort of time it. And maybe if you're dropping the kids off to school, or if you're doing something in the evening and you want to start later, or you want to start earlier because you want to get in and get out, there's various different options that offers. So the question I ask is where does it end? How much more housing do we build? How many more people join those same roads that have stayed the same for 20-30 years in most cases, to get to the same places, same buildings, same parking spaces? How long does that carry on? How much traffic do we have? How much pollution do we have? How much do we keep going through this cycle? Or do we say, actually, we can look at more remote locations where it'd be cheaper to invest in a smaller building in a more remote location that's not in the centre, and we hold more of our meetings remotely, and we have a smaller kind of skeleton staff of people that they'll hot desk, and they just come in and they just meet up as and when they feel like they need to. So we still have an office space, but we don't need to have them here 9 to 5 all day every day, and have more flexibility, more autonomy over where they work from, but we'll still provide some office space, but in a cheaper way. The final point I want to put to you is, if you minimize the cost and all the time and energy of the employees, the 2 or 3 hours they're spending commuting, the cost of transportation and parking and all this sort of stuff, and the cost of renting a building or owning a building in a city centre that is designed to take the full workforce all week, compared to a building that's maybe smaller and is designed to have people more flexibly come and go from there. All that cost and all that drain is coming out of what you deliver to your customer. So if we're all working to provide value for money, to provide quality to our customers, then surely if we're making decisions in the interest of our customers, and to me, I've always followed the concept that there's a quote by Roy Disney he said the front line is the bottom line, by which he means how you treat your people, the face-to-face customer interaction, the product that's delivered. That's what makes the money. That's what everything should be about. You should be completely oriented around the customer. And look at Jeff Bezos as well. There's interviews of him back in early 2000s, and he's saying, no, you have to concentrate on the customer. Everything's about the customer. And look where he is now. For me, everything should be about service to the customer. So we want to take out any unnecessary cost if we can, without jeopardizing our employees' mental health, or without jeopardizing people's livelihoods, if we can possibly help it. Like that I'm not promoting that as a way of cutting out staff and cutting down workforces, but rather, can we use it as a way of reducing cost and delivering a better product and gaining competitive advantage through having lower overheads? I think it's a question to be considered, and like I say, I'm just following the debate. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. See you next week.